Hi everyone, Jonathan here. Today, I'm going to teach you my preferred method for kicking up. There are a lot of different ways of getting up in a handstand, all of them valid as long as you're doing exactly what you intended to do. One way that should be pretty effortless is the kick up, but I constantly see people doing them in ways that are just much harder than it should be. So I'm going to teach you how I make kicking up easy. First of all, you want to start standing near a wall, but you want to be far enough from the wall that if you fall over, it takes a while before your feet actually touch it. This is important, as it will give you room to fight for your balance a bit if your handstand isn't perfect. If you start too close to the wall, you will unfortunately touch it before you had time to try and make any corrections, ruining your opportunity to practice. You can stand with your arms up, to the sides, or down, based on your own preferences. Starting with your hands on the floor already isn't bad or a mistake, but for this tutorial, I'll start standing. If you want to do it from having your hands on the floor already, you can. And most of what I'm going to say applies just the same. From there, you're going to look at where you want to place your hands. Aim straight for it with your arms, lunge towards it, place your hands gently and immediately push with your front leg. Most of the power to go up should stem from your front leg and not from launching your back leg over. Before your hands even touch the floor, you should be reaching tall on your shoulders and trying to stretch your hands towards the target. Once both your legs left the ground, you want to get your legs together as soon as your back leg is vertical. In other words, I don't want you to fiddle with your legs to find your balance. You're going to kick up, and by the time you reach the apex of the movement, your legs should be straight and tight together with your feet pointed. As indicated in previous videos, the placement of your shoulders will help shift your weight forward or backward. It will simply follow your shoulders really, but for an easy kick up, you do not want to rely on your shoulders. Instead, the trick for an easy kick up is to always push a little more than what's necessary. Place your hands on the floor as early as you can without compromising the lunge, and then right away, use your hands to control where your momentum is going to stop. My preferred method of finding out how much to push with your leg is to start with smaller kick-ups at first, then push progressively more until you make it to handstand and then past. The whole time, I want you to use as perfect form as physically possible. Keep your body straight. Don't let your back leg go past your center line. Don't fiddle with your legs, so click your feet together at the apex. Then separate your legs again as soon as you start going down. Speaking of going down, keep your back leg high up and reach for the floor with your front leg. You want your leg to touch down the floor as early as possible to avoid slamming your feet into the ground. I know at least one person has broken a toe because they forgot to separate their legs on the way down. As you do progressively higher kick-ups, do not use your shoulders to help you go higher. More precisely, do not let your shoulders go more forward than your first knuckles. Simply push with your leg, and see how much you have to push in order to make it to handstand. A key point for a kick-up to be easy is that you shouldn't have to use your shoulder strength to make it. Once you can consistently push enough to make it just past your point of balance and fall towards the wall, you should start using your hands to slow down your momentum and stop perfectly in a handstand. As soon as you touch the floor, your fingers are able to push and control how much higher your body is going to go. Ease comes from good practice. That's why I don't want you to fiddle with your legs or struggle with your shoulders. Your kick-up should be swift, clean, and tight looking. If you mess with your legs or shoulders or elbows, or don't land in your final alignment right away, your kick-up will not be perfect, and it will not look swift nor smooth, so practice perfectly. Always kick a little harder than you have to so that you don't have to use a press to finish it. In terms of sets, I recommend doing 10 every training. That's simple. But only count the perfect ones. You have to do 10 single kick-ups every training. Hold each of them for 3 seconds before coming back down, and again, do not allow fiddling. At first, doing your 10 kick-ups will take a long time, but as you practice more, you will get a lot better at them, and will stick them most of the time. Here are a few important pointers on the kick-up. Let's start with how far you should put your hands from your feet. If you place your hands very close to your feet, you're not going to have much space at all to maneuver, and you're going to be on top of your hands very fast, leaving you less time to use your hands to control your momentum. But if you place your hands too far, you have to jump forward and push quite hard to make it to handstand. So to me, the ideal distance is pretty far, So your body goes through a long arc to reach the handstand position, but close enough that you can place your hands on the ground softly. Speaking of which, I know that a lot of people feel like they need to gain momentum by lunging down really fast and slamming their hands down into the ground. But this is only good to hurt your hands really. The extra momentum you get from starting in a standing position shouldn't come from how fast you slam your hands into the floor, but by the forward motion of your lunge. And even then, most of the power shall come from your front leg pushing from the ground, not from gaining as much momentum as possible. If your front leg isn't strong enough to push as much as needed to get into a handstand, you might need to train your legs, or if you feel like your flexibility is limiting you, as I said in my first video, stretch. The last important thing I want to talk about is the body position in which you should kick. As soon as you start pushing with your front leg, your body should be very straight. Basically, you should already be in the final position you want to land in. That's why I contraindicate trying to launch your back leg over. If you lead with your back heel, once you get into your handstand, that leg is going to be too far over and you will have to bring it back a bit to get to a straight line. Instead, try to lead with your back and hips, and your leg simply follows. This is slightly different for people with alignment issues. I haven't made a video about that yet, but for now, let's just say that when you kick, your body should already more or less be in the shape you want it to land in. This concludes our video. Kick-ups are a simple movement, but it's the way we practice them that makes all the difference. So train well, and see you next time.